the show. Holy cow, we're back. Nice to see you. Welcome to the show. I'm your boyfriend, George Stroumboulopoulos. Jerry D is here on the right. Oh, my God, Jerry D. Fun. Lots to talk about with the wonderful Jerry D. How great were the Olympics on CBC? Bang-up job by this network. Everybody, the people who work behind the scenes, the people on the air. Scott Russell's the legend. CBC Online was amazing. I was able to stream almost the entire Olympics on the internet. So how about a hand for everybody at CBC? Wall to wall to wall. Listen, I'll tell you. I spent a part of the time during the Olympics in America, and NBC doesn't do it the same way that they do it here. It's incredible. Can I just say one thing, though? Happy for the wins, happy for the personal bests. I am kind of glad they're over. Because between the commercials and the podiums, I just can't cry anymore. I can't cry anymore. Those little kids, kids singing in unison, normally extremely creepy. Even when they're your kids are creepy. But strangely, I really felt we did. I cried so much. I had actually to watch UFC just to get my testosterone levels back. Didn't work. It didn't work. I cried more than a single woman in her late 30s watching Love Actually on Valentine's Day. Those who groaned identified themselves. I cried more than the Russian and American men's hockey teams combined. Whoa! But I'll say this, as much as I'm glad to be back on the air, I know that in a couple of weeks I'm gonna miss the Olympics for sure. I don't think we have enough Olympic Games. I think summer and winter, dude, what about spring? Think about all the great sports. We would kill in them. Your grandmother would win a medal, man. Synchronized gardening would be, or the 50-kilometer fresh flower pick, or the biathlon mow. How about my favorite one? My favorite one would be this. Pears going home to change because the weather just won't make up its mind. That is, we would win in that one. And the thing with the Spring Olympics, too, you got to finish them really quickly because spring in Canada lasts about, what, 8 days? That's all we get. And if you're saying, well, what about the Autumn Olympics? We already have that. It's called the mayoral election in Toronto. Shall we deal with the day? Let me say this. Before we get into some of the stories of the day, Harold Ramis passed away today at 69 years old. Writer, director, actor, producer, SCTV, Caddyshack, Stripes, Groundhog Day, Ghostbusters, so many more. So many people got into comedy because of the works of the people at, well, not just Second City, but SCTV. This man was a giant, inspired so many. He will be missed, no doubt. And inspiration is, I suppose, the best thing you can do. Your legacy is only valuable if you help somebody else get closer to their dreams. And Harold did it. That's one of the things about the Olympics, right? So many medals, so many medals, so many medals, you know, that we made a few medals for you. We want to say this before we get deeper. Michael Lambert, gold medal snowboarder, spoke out passionately about Russia's anti-gay laws while he was there. Pretty much everybody else was remarkably quiet, so how about a hand for him? That's amazing. Also, silver medal goes to freestyle skier Gus Kenworthy when he announced that he was adopting a whole litter of Sochi puppies. That's right, he's taking home a bunch of dogs to save them from street execution. He's taking them home to run a dog fighting ring, so it's not all good news. I'm kidding, it's not Michael Vick. But he gets a silver medal because it's Eastern Europe, and he might literally need the silver because those dogs could be werewolves. As for the podium of shame, the bronze medal of evil to those Cossacks that attacked and beat the Pussy Riot members with clubs and whips. I wish there was a worse place I could put you guys, but I'm trying to abide by a code of nonviolence. All right. The one thing about the Olympics, as wonderful as it is, it did absolutely distract the viewer for other things that were happening around the world. News channels, like, of course, CBC was covering it, but there were other things. Olympic-grade battle for democracy going on. One of the biggest flashpoints, Russia's former Soviet satellite, Ukraine, was unbelievable. I'm sure you saw the footage of what was happening in Ukraine, and I'm sure a nation like Russia would spend over $51 billion on what was basically a really advanced 2-week-long sports camp. Instead, a little something to help the former Soviet satellite Ukraine. It's unbelievable what was going on there. Kiev coming apart at the seams. Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych fled the country. An arrest warrant was issued. Wonder which way he's headed. I think we know. And the story that a lot of the media didn't really cover as much as they should, certainly was underreported, is what was happening in Venezuela. That was incredible. You know, a decade and a half of rule by cult of personality only to be replaced by proxy. Then you throw in a revitalized right wing and a chronic poverty situation, despite massive oil reserves, which everybody knows about, and there's going to be trouble. There's going to be trouble. And with spring right around the corner, what's blooming in the heart of the Arab Spring? Well, if you're cynical, it's the introduction of Egypt's next military ruler. Today's government resignation is widely seen as a move to clear the way for this guy, the defense minister, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, to run for president. Yeah, he's the guy that overthrew Egypt's first ever democratically elected president. And I guess then he wins? And if he wins, he'll be democratically elected? It's an incredible story what's happening there. Courageous fights for democracy all around the world. It took us centuries to get it going in the West, so let's not be overly cynical when people aren't getting it exactly right in countries. It takes a long time to get there. We're not doing a gold medal job of it. Speaking of working Olympic performance and heavy politics into the same thought, great show on Radio Canada called Tout le Monde en Parle. Last night it aired. Justin Trudeau was on.
Pour moi, le président Yanukovych est rendu illégitime. Et c'est très inquiétant, surtout puisque la Russie a perdu au hockey. Ils vont être de mauvaise humeur. On craint l'implication russe en Ukraine. Non?
Juste à cause du hockey?
Non. C'est d'essayer d'amener une optique un peu légère dans une situation qui est extrêmement sérieuse, extrêmement troublante.
On pense que ça peut dégénérer en massacre, en fait, c'est commencé. Là.
Interesting about that is that it shows that Justin's a little more willing to go there than people thought. He spent the weekend leading his first policy convention since becoming the Liberal leader, approved resolutions supporting the right to medically assisted death. That is big. A national strategy for just about everything, and a slate of changes in government policy towards issues affecting First Nations. Obviously, conventions can be perceived as symbolic, right? This is where they meet to figure out which policies they like and which ones they don't like and which way to move forward with, which again is what people are fighting for in other countries. So we should not take this stuff for granted. It is hard work. You know how we know firsthand how hard democracy is? We know all too well. That's your debrief.